Silvermyst Bay had always been a quiet coastal town, cold, old, and damp enough that the fog felt like a living thing. To outsiders, it was unremarkable. To locals, it was a graveyard of stories whispered after sunset, especially about the lighthouse. The lighthouse was cursed. Everyone knew that. Everyone except Arlo Brennan, who had just moved there. Arlo arrived with nothing but an overstuffed duffel, a grant for marine biology research, and the exhaustion of a man who had recently lost too much, his mother, his long-term relationship, his sense of direction. He had chosen Silvermyst Bay because no one knew him there. He wanted silence, solitude, but the town had other plans. The very first night, as he walked along the shore collecting samples, he noticed her, a girl, standing at the water's edge, alone. Her long dark hair hung like soaked silk. Her pale dress clung to her body, and a faint lantern glowed in her hand. The old kind, glass framed with iron corners, flickering as if from a flame instead of a bulb. She looked impossibly out of place, like she belonged to another century. Arlo froze. She turned. Their eyes met through the drifting curtain of silver fog. A jolt hit his spine. Not fear, not exactly, but something colder, softer, like déjà vu with a chill. "You shouldn't be out here alone," he said, stepping toward her. Her voice was calm, melodic, and terribly sad. "You shouldn't be here either." The fog swallowed her words. "I'm just collecting samples," Arlo explained, raising the small vial. "For my research, you won't find what you're looking for in the water." "What do you mean?" But she didn't answer. Instead, she lifted her lantern slightly, the flame inside trembling like a frightened heartbeat. "You should go home before the lighthouse wakes." Arlo blinked. "The lighthouse wakes?" She took one step back into the fog and vanished. Arlo hurried after her, but found nothing. No footprints, no shadow, no silhouette. Only the sea wind and the distant groan of waves. Who was she? The next morning he asked the townsfolk. The reactions were all the same. Confusion, awkward glances, forced chuckles. "There's no girl like that out here," the fisherman replied. "No one uses lanterns anymore," said the shopkeeper. "Probably the fog playing tricks on you," the old man near the docks added. "Happens a lot round the lighthouse." But Arlo had seen her. He knew he had. And when he went back that evening, she was there again, waiting at the exact same spot, lantern glowing faint gold in the fog. "You returned," she whispered. "I had to. You disappeared yesterday." "I always disappear." "Why?" She stared at the horizon, at the lighthouse, at the endless gray. "Because I'm not supposed to be seen." Arlo approached slowly, careful not to startle her. "What's your name?" After a long pause, she answered, "Lyria." It suited her, soft and haunting. "I'm Arlo," he said. "I know." He frowned. "How?" She didn't answer, just tilted her head, as if listening to something only she could hear. Then she said, "If you stay here long enough, the sea will take something from you." "What has it taken from you?" This time, she looked at her with eyes that seemed older than her face. "Everything." Arlo should have walked away. A sane person would have. But instead, he asked, "Can I meet you again tomorrow?" A faint smile touched her lips. Sad, reluctant, beautiful. "If you come after dusk," she whispered, "I'll be here." Then, right before his eyes, the fog rolled over her like a wave, and she vanished again, silent as a ghost, fragile as a dream. But that night, Arlo couldn't sleep. Every time he closed his eyes, he saw her standing in the fog, alone, lantern flickering, warning him about the lighthouse. The town's silence about her troubled him. And something else, something he didn't want to admit. He felt drawn to her, dangerously drawn, as if she wasn't a stranger at all, as if he had been waiting to meet her his whole life. The next night, and the next after that, he returned. Lyria always appeared. They talked for hours about the ocean, about loneliness, about the feeling of being trapped in a place you couldn't escape. But she never touched him, never let him come close, never stepped beyond the line where the wet sand began. "Why do you stop there?" he asked once. "This is as far as I can go." "Who's stopping you?" The lighthouse. He forced a chuckle. That's just a building. No, she whispered, lantern flickering violently. It's alive? Arlo's breath chilled. The wind shifted, and the lighthouse, cold, abandoned, silent, let out a low, guttural moan, like something exhaling after a long sleep. Lyria stepped back. Arlo, she said urgently, you need to leave. What's happening? Are you scared? I'm not scared, she whispered. You should be. Why? Tell me. She looked at him with eyes full of heartbreak. Because I'm already dead. The fog swallowed her. And this time, she didn't return. Arlo spent the next 3 nights searching for her. The shoreline, the hill above the bay, the narrow path near the lighthouse. Nothing. The girl with the lantern, the dead girl, was gone. But he didn't believe it. Not fully. Every evening, he felt her presence in the fog. Every morning, he woke with damp footprints near his cottage door, not his own. On the 4th night, desperate and reckless, he walked straight to the lighthouse. Locals avoided it. It had been abandoned after a storm 3 decades ago. Rumors said the keeper drowned, tried to save a woman who had fallen into the sea. Rumors also said the woman never died, that she wandered the shore forever searching for the keeper. Arlo wondered, terrified, if he already knew her name. The lighthouse door was chained shut but rusted. He forced it open with a crack. Inside, the air was damp and cold. Salt ate the walls. The spiral stairs creaked under his weight. Halfway up, he found something. A lantern. Old, iron-framed, glass cracked, still flickering with a faint golden flame. Lyria's lantern. As he touched it, a sharp wave of cold tore through him. A hollow, aching cold that felt like grief itself. The flame brightened. Behind him, a whisper. You shouldn't be here. Arlo spun around. Lyria stood on the steps above him, pale dress trailing, eyes glowing with a soft, sorrowful light. She wasn't mist this time. She wasn't fading. She looked almost solid, almost alive. Arlo stepped closer. Lyria, I thought I lost you. You never had me to lose. I don't understand. You weren't meant to see me. I only appear to those the sea chooses. And what does that mean? Her voice cracked. It means you're in danger. Arlo tightened his grip on the lantern. Tell me the truth. She inhaled shakily, a mimic of a human breath. 30 years ago, she began, I drowned here. Arlo froze. I was 18. The lighthouse keeper, Elias, tried to save me. We were in love. Her voice trembled. The storm took us both. But something in the lighthouse wouldn't let me rest. What do you mean, something? She looked upward, toward the tower's peak. The lighthouse feeds on grief. It traps the souls of those who die in sorrow. It trapped me. And the keeper? His soul moved on. Pain filled her eyes. He wasn't bound like I was. But why show yourself to me? She stared at him with a heartbreaking mixture of confusion and longing. Because you feel like someone I once loved. Arlo's breath caught. Lyria descended 1 step, her hand reaching toward his. They hovered inches apart, almost touching. But I'm not him, Arlo whispered. No, she said softly, you're not. Something twisted in Arlo's chest. A strange, dangerous affection growing where logic should have lived. Lyria, he said, I want to help you. You can't. Why not? The lighthouse won't allow it. It wants me here. It wants you here, too. A sharp groan shook the stairs. Dust rained from above. Lyria's face drained of color. It woke. What woke? The thing inside. The lantern in Arlo's hand flared violently. The flame twisted into a long, thin shape, like a reaching finger. The walls pulsed. A deep rumble echoed through the tower. It's coming, Lyria whispered. A black shadow oozed from the cracks between the stones, rising, shaping itself into a human outline. Tall, bony, faceless. Its voice was the grinding of stone underwater. She stays. Lyria gasped, stepping in front of Arlo. He's not yours. She stays with me. No, she cried. The shadow's arm extended, long, skeletal, and slashed across her. She flickered violently like a glitching projection. Arlo lunged forward instinctively, grabbing her before she could collapse into darkness. "Arlo," she whispered weakly. "Run." The shadow screeched. The lantern burst. The fog crashed inward like a storm, and everything went black. When Arlo woke, he was on the beach. The tide lapped at his shoes. The lighthouse loomed in the distance, silent and dark. Beside him in the sand, the broken lantern flickered once, weakly, and went out. Lyria was nowhere, but a message, written by a fingertip in the wet sand, remained. "Stop looking for me. The lighthouse is hungry." Arlo shivered. He erased the message with a trembling hand, but he didn't stop looking. He couldn't, because something inside him knew he wasn't done with Lyria, and she wasn't done with him. Arlo spent days researching the lighthouse, the shipwreck, the storm, the keeper, anything connected to Lyria. Records were scarce, newspapers vague, death certificates missing. It was as if the sea erased her story. The only consistent detail he found in old journals and local folklore was this: one soul lost, one soul kept. The lighthouse didn't just trap spirits, it bartered with them. If it released a soul, it demanded another in return. Arlo's stomach twisted. Was that why it had shown him Lyria? Had it chosen him as a replacement? The thought gnawed at him. On the seventh night after she vanished, the fog grew unnaturally thick, more like smoke than mist. It pressed against his windows and dimmed the lamps. Then a soft knock echoed from his door. 3 taps. Slow. Familiar. Arlo opened it. Lyria stood outside, drenched, trembling, half-transparent. "Arlo," she whispered, "the lighthouse wants you. It can't have me. It already marked you." She raised her hand. A faint black stain bled across her palm. "It's spreading to you, too." Arlo looked at his own hand and felt his stomach drop. A thin black line crept along his wrist, like ink under the skin. "Lyria, what do we do?" "You run." "And leave you?" "You must." "No." Arlo grabbed her shoulders, his hands passing halfway through, but she solidified briefly, eyes widening at his touch. "I don't care what the lighthouse wants. I'm not leaving you trapped here." Tears welled in her ghostly eyes. "You remind me so much of Elias," she whispered. He said the same thing. "What happened to him?" "He tried to free me." Her voice cracked. "The lighthouse drowned him." Arlo shook his head. "I won't die. I'll figure this out." "You don't understand," she whispered. "You're already dying." The black mark on his wrist crept higher. The wind roared. The fog twisted. The lighthouse light, dead for decades, suddenly flared to life. A beam of sickly yellow shot across the bay. "It's calling you," Lyria sobbed. "You have to run now." But Arlo stepped closer. "Lyria," he said softly, "I'm not running from you." "You should be," she cried. "I'm the reason it wants you. I tried to stay away. I tried not to be seen, but you kept coming back. I care about you. You can't love a ghost." "Maybe not," he whispered, "but I love you anyway." She froze. Time froze. Even the fog stopped moving. Something inside her cracked, not physically, but emotionally. Her eyes softened. Her form brightened. And she whispered the words that had been buried for 30 years. "I love you too." The lighthouse screamed. A blast of force ripped them apart, sending Arlo flying backward into sand. The shadow from the tower surged across the beach like a tidal wave of darkness. Lyria stood between it and Arlo. "No," she commanded, voice echoing across the water. "You can't have him." The shadow hissed. "One. Soul. For. One. You took mine already," she screamed. "You stole my life. You won't take his." "Then return." "I can't," she cried. "You broke me." The shadow lunged. Arlo forced himself up, sprinting to her side. "Lyria!" She turned to him with a heartbreaking smile. "It's okay," she whispered. "You gave me something the lighthouse never could." "What?" "A reason to fight." Before Arlo could stop her, She stepped into the shadow, into the darkness, into the very thing that had held her captive for decades. Her lantern, lying in the sand, burst into golden flame. Lyria screamed, not in pain, but in defiance. The shadow shrieked. The lighthouse roared. The ground shook as light exploded from her body. Pure, blinding gold, shattering the darkness from within. The beam struck the lighthouse. The tower cracked, crumbled, collapsed. The fog evaporated instantly, like steam chased away by sunlight. Arlo shielded his eyes until the world settled. When he looked again, the lighthouse was gone. The curse was gone. But so was Lyria. In the sand where she last stood lay a small warm object. Her lantern, repaired, burning with a gentle flame. Arlo picked it up and held it close. A faint whisper drifted through the wind. "I'm free, and so are you." Epilogue, one last light. Arlo never saw Lyria again. But every night, the lantern glowed by itself with a warm, living flame. And sometimes, when the fog rolled gently across the bay, no longer monstrous, just soft, he felt a familiar presence beside him. Not haunting, not sorrowful, just watching, just loving. Silvermyst Bay eventually rebuilt the lighthouse, but the new one remained ordinary, quiet, harmless. Arlo stayed in the town longer than he ever planned, because Silvermyst Bay was no longer a place of fear. It was a place of memory. And somewhere in the gentle fog, a girl who once drowned finally rested. But she never truly left. Not from him.